Welcome back. Glad to see you here again. Ready to learn some more about investing in real estate. Today, we're going to be focusing on a topic we briefly discussed before, but we're going to go more in depth in it. We're going to be talking about the people involved and that you need to help you make a successful real estate investment. And we have our key verse up here in the corner, Proverbs 15:22. What this says is, in the multitude of counselors there is safety. That means the more experts, the more people who have experience doing the things that we want to accomplish, that we have around us and in our team doing those specific things, the better the experience will be, the better the end result will be for us and for the consumer. So, who are some of these people? We'll start with number one. Before we go into that, one of the things that you hear a lot in real estate from first-time investors, in my experience, is that how can I get some of this stuff knocked out myself? It's like, if I can do it myself, I can save some money, I can cut some bucks off the expense list. But you want these experienced counselors in your circle, that way things turn out the way you want them to, and not just the way you hoped for. Okay. Number one is our contractor. If you go to the HDTV and find the First Time Flippers show, that's a great show I always tell people to start with, because the number one mistake that first time flippers and even seasoned real estate investors, the number one mistake they make is trying to do all the work themselves when that is not what they do. If you are a contractor, great. You can be that person on your list. But you need somebody who knows what they're doing. And there's some things that the contractor can knock out for you that you just can't do yourself if that's not your area of expertise. So, some things that the contractor is going to give you, and the reason I put him number one is because these things are crucial to the planning aspect of getting this done. He's going to be able to give you the price for repairs. Depending on who your contractor is, that depends on how much you can do a renovation for. One contractor might be able to do the same job as another for $10,000 less. One might be able to do it for $50,000. Another may be able to do it for $60,000. But that just depends on your contractor. You have to know your contractor, have a relationship with them, establish what their budgets are, or if you don't have that relationship with them yet, you need to go out to properties with them and see how much stuff costs. That way they can give you a price for your repair, and you can set your budget that you're going to need for this project. Another thing they can give you, contractor's time frame. Not every every team has the same amount of workers, has the same amount of expertise, can get jobs done the same amount of time. Some contractors have a large team, but they have a lot of projects, so it takes them a little longer to get things done. Some can get things knocked out for you quickly. And what is time? Like I say, time is money, and time will affect all aspects of your project. It will affect, of course, how long it takes to get it done. And that monthly, if you're using a lender or something like that, that's going to affect your money, how much it costs, your holding costs in general. So contractor tells you your time and your money, really important aspects when you're doing any kind of business. How much time it's going to take, how much money is it going to cost you. And another thing your contractor will do is basically oversee the project. You're going to be there, of course, as the investor, as the one managing and having the final say in things, but they're going to be the one seeing the day-to-day, bringing in subs, your electrician, your plumber, all that stuff. So they have that team and they have that experience of how to get jobs like this done. So contractor is number one on your list. So find a good one. If you can get a good one, hold on to them while they're working for you. Let it work for you while it works for you. So hold on to that contractor, find a good one whose time and budget and all that stuff works for you. They're responsive to your needs, and that way you can set your plans up, and in the future you'll be able to work your plans together a little easier because you know how they operate. Number two on this. Before we go to number two, some notes for your contractor. Some ways to check to see if they are a good contractor, if they would work for you. You want to make sure they're licensed so that they can pull permits when your property goes back on the market and it sells and there's some inspections done, that they can pull up the receipts for their work and the permits have been pulled for the work that's done, and everybody can have a relief knowing it was done by a seasoned professional. Lenders will love it. The buyers will love it. You'll love it because it'll work for everyone else and it'll make you money. Make sure their crew size is big enough for the job that you have. Some people might only be a sole, they might be the only person in their business who's a part of their business, and they kind of try and scrabble people together along as they get it. Some people have large crews. If you're doing a 5,000 square foot house, you can't have a person with just him and his buddy doing this job. You need a person with a sizable crew. But if you're doing let's say a 1,200 square foot house that doesn't need extensive work, and that contractor is just him and maybe one or two other people that are his main core, they might be able to get it done in that time frame that you need. So remember that team size is also going to affect the time frame. So that's things to think about. Licenses, crew size, and who they have on their crew as far as plumbers, electricians, their kind of subs and all that. They should be able to give that to you easily. If they're working with these people all the time, they should have this information available for you. Shouldn't be a secret. Okay. On to number 2. Contractors number 1, the rest of these are not in order, they're just some people you need in your team. 2, inspector. Inspector, that can be your contractor or someone on your contractor team. What does an inspector do? What is an inspector? Inspector is the person who goes in the property, hopefully before you buy it, but if it's tax sale or something, maybe afterwards. They go in the property, they can tell you what's wrong with the property as far as what's able to be looked at. They'll go under the house if it's on a raised foundation. They'll check out the outside, the inside, the plumbing, electrical, anything that's inside the walls. Anything behind the walls, they can't necessarily get to unless you're removing something at a later date. But inspector, why are they important? You check things out, but why is that important? Because you want to know that the inspector is telling the contractor, or telling you so you can tell the contractor, everything that needs to be done. Goes back to time, money, different jobs take different amounts of time. If you have to knock down some walls, if you have to totally gut everything, if there's fire damage, it's going to take more time than if you just have to paint and maybe remodel a couple of bathrooms. So the inspector will tell you how much work you're going to need to get done. So they'll be able to tell you, the contractor can tell you how much money that will cost, how much time it will cost. So you see the correlation, all these people, it's a team. It's a team of people that's going to help you get the job done and that you need to get the job done the way you want it to get done. So the inspector, number 2. Number 3, this one is a little bit of a caveat here. An appraiser. Appraiser. What is an appraiser? An appraiser is a person who tells you how much the property is worth. So that is also another very important aspect in this whole process. Why is that? Because you need to know how much the property is going to sell for, of course. If you don't know how much the property is going to sell for, you don't know how much money you can spend and how much room you have for your profits. So the appraiser, the reason I say it can be a little bit of a caveat, because this is one that can be done by maybe some of the other positions if they have the experience, the background for it, or if they have the license for it. But it's definitely going to need somebody on your team who can tell you how much this property is going to be worth at the end. Because if you know how much it's worth on the end, you know how much you can spend, you know how much money you can make. So we're all working together. Appraisers tell you how much it's worth on the end. Inspectors telling you what work needs to be done, what they see. Contractors telling you time, money that they can put forward to it to get it done for you. And I'm going to add to this here too. In Genesis, after everything God spoke into existence, he spoke and he said, "It is good." And what is that telling me? That tells me that I need to have an expectation in my mind of what good is, and that's what I need to be aiming for. Don't try and halfway do things. That's why all these become important, because if you get into a project, you didn't have it appraised correctly, you didn't know the scope of work, or the contractor didn't give you the right price, and you get in the bind, people tend to try and cut corners and not come out with "it is good" at the end. They say, "Oh, it's good enough." It's good enough. That's not good enough. So we need it to be good and a high quality of work within all these aspects of doing things so that we have a high quality product at the end. And people love it. People will buy it if it's a high quality product. It won't sit on the market longer than is expected if it's a high quality product. So we're going to go from 3, the appraiser, and let's start over here. Number 4, the agent. Boy, is that an important position, because that's what I do too. No, it's not just an important position because I do it. The agent, what they do for you is sell the property. That is the goal. Usually, if you're doing a fix and flip, or if you are doing a rental property, you still need somebody to facilitate a buyer, facilitate a renter, facilitate someone to come spend the money so you can make the money. So that's what your agent does for you. They'll market the property. They'll bring in the buyers. They'll set it up and give you the perspective of what it needs to be for that market to get it sold. So they're also going to help. They should be able to help you a lot in the planning. Make sure you have an agent who has done investment property before, or they have someone on their team who has done investment properties before. That way they can give you sound advice on what to do. So your agent can also sometimes be your appraiser if they have the experience or if they have the license for it. So these aren't interchangeable, but your agent can double as your appraiser in certain cases, just like your inspector and your contractor can also be the same person on some teams. These are more roles. These roles have to be filled. So you want to have as many licensed people and experienced people on your team and make sure you get these roles filled. So your agent is selling your property, your appraiser is telling you how much it's worth on the end, your inspector is telling you what's going on in there, and your contractor is giving you the time and the budget for what needs to be done. This one is for if you have a rental property. So we'll put him right here at number 5 with a little star. This is your property manager. I'll just put property manager. Property manager is going to be the person if you're renting a property. So let's say you didn't do a fix and flip. You didn't do a flip. You just want to renovate it and then sell it out. You don't want to sell it. You want to renovate it and rent it out. The property management is for your peace of mind, honestly. You have people, I've seen people who have rented a property and they say, well, you know what? Who wants to pay some fees to another company to collect rent? That's all they're doing is collecting rent. Well, I'll just do it myself. And now they're getting calls at 2 o'clock in the morning. They're getting calls every other day about things that they don't need to be contacted for. So this is property manager going to save you peace of mind, and it's going to make things so much straightforward for you, especially if you start building up your portfolio. You have a bunch of rental properties. Imagine having one person who relies on you for everything in the house. Imagine having 10 people who rely on you for everything in the house. That's a lot of calls that you don't need unless there's a real problem that you need to fix. So property management, I would say just pay the money and save the peace of mind, but that's up to you. Maybe you have plenty of peace of mind to go around and you want to spread it out to all your renters. So property management, save your peace of mind there. And so with all these people, this will help you get to and through a real estate investment and still have a memorable, enjoyable, profitable experience. Let's go back through these. We'll start at number 1. Number 1, your contractor, time and money. Time and money, they determine that. Not you. If they say something costs a certain amount, you might be able to wiggle them some, but that's how much that contractor costs. If you can't swing that, or if that seems too much for you, just find another contractor on the market who maybe fits your needs or adjust what your needs are, because you have to have a quality project. If you don't have a quality project, it won't sell. And then what's the point of it? Inspector. Hooking up with the contractor to tell him what's going on so he can determine the time and money. Appraiser. How much is this thing going to be worth it in so I can know how much money I can actually spend on it? Agent. Sell my property, get me the highest amount I can get on this market in the best time frame. And property management, save my peace of mind because I want to keep it all to myself. That's the people we need. Proverbs 15:22, in the multitude of counselors there is safety. So be safe out there and make tons of profits. Have a great one.